The University of Cape Town has suffered incredible damage from the fires that broke out on Sunday. Thankfully, no loss of life at this time that we're hearing about, but students had to be evacuated from residence on the Rondebosch campus. The Jagger library has been partially destroyed, we understand. I'm joined now by the Vice-Chancellor of UCT, Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng. Good evening, Professor, and thank you for your time. An incredibly difficult few days it must have been. What are you establishing around the damage, which I understand your teams are describing as profound?
It is profound indeed, particularly in the Jagger library, because we've lost our precious collection. And some of it we will not be able to replace because it included parts of the African Studies collection, the plus minus 3,500 African film collection, and parts of the government publications collection, and also several collections that were being worked on. Some of these we will not be able to recover. There are people all over the world who are offering to help us rebuild it. It will take time, but even with that time, some of it is gone, and some of it we've digitized. But you know, the digital version is not the same as the physical version. So we've lost a tremendous amount, and so we are devastated, and we have to move on from here. But yeah, the pain, we feel the pain in that regard. There's also damage to our residences, Smuts and Fuller Hall, as well as the office building and our botany building. There's a student residence building is also terribly damaged, as well as the botany building, the Pearson building is damaged. So we have a lot of work to do. And yeah, but as they say, in every crisis there's a silver lining. So I keep looking at that silver lining and thinking that we are devastated now, but from here on we have to make sure that we are better than before.
So I understand that there were some precautions in place within the library, these sort of fire doors that rolled down, which managed to save some of the books. Tell us a little bit more about what the university had put in place to make sure that any fire, which we know are quite regular things in that part of Cape Town, wasn't too devastating.
Yeah, so the fire security that we had put in the Jagger has allowed us to be able to stop the fire from catching on the entire library. Anyone who knows the UCT library will know that it's sort of a U shape around the Sarah Bartman Hall. So what happened is that the fire damaged the Jagger reading room, and then the fire sprinklers kicked in and the firewall, and so the fire stopped there. It didn't move beyond the Jagger reading room. So we've been able to save the rest of the library. It could have been a much bigger damage. And so we're very fortunate that it's not as big as it could have been.
Do you have a monetary estimate, even a ballpark at this point, of how much damage has actually been done?
Wow. I wouldn't be able to estimate, but maybe, let me say, I mean, the whole library building may be perhaps 1.9 billion rand. And so when you take part of it, it would easily be more than 500 million rand. So I mean, and I'm looking at just the building. I mean, there's everything else inside that part. Yeah. So it is a humongous damage.
So at least 500 million rands or thereabouts to the building, the library building. Never mind the books, and the collections, which are priceless, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Sally, this is my uneducated guess. I'm sure architects and civil engineers and construction engineers are sitting there and say, wazoo, but this is my...
No, thank you for attempting an answer. I wanted to ask you about the students. We know students had to be evacuated from campus. How many students have been evacuated, and how are you looking after them?
Well, we've evacuated more than 4,000 students. We've put them in hotels. They are around Cape Town. They are well taken care of, and we have meals provided by gift of the givers, as well as toiletries that they need have been made available to them in the morning, because they left without, many of them left without taking everything that they need. And yeah, the hotels have been available for us to be able to
right.
occupy basis.
So you sent out a communique earlier in the day saying that academic activities on campus suspended until Wednesday at least. So I would imagine that that's going to affect more than just the 4,000 who are on campus, but also all the students who come to the campus. So how long do you think you're going to be out of action for?
You know, we said until tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll release another a communique that says when we're starting with the academic program. I'm estimating that by Wednesday we'll have the whole assessment in terms of which buildings, whether buildings are good enough for students to occupy, to get into the residences. Once we have that on Thursday, I'm hoping that by Thursday morning after breakfast, the students, we start the process of getting them back to residence. That's my estimation, and that's my wish, that we go back to residences by Thursday during the day, and they can settle in by Friday, and next week we can get on with the academic program. That's my wish. We are working on these issues, and tomorrow I have a meeting with my exec, and I'm hoping that that plan comes into being. We cannot afford to lose more of the academic year. Otherwise, the students are going to be in much bigger pressure. So we're working hard to make sure that that happens. But we prioritizing their safety, their health and safety. So that's why we want to make sure that the buildings, it's not just about cleaning. It's also about making sure that they are cleared as much as possible of the smog and the smell, and students can go into those buildings safely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for giving us such a comprehensive update. We really do appreciate it. That was the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Town, Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng, speaking to us about the damage to the campus.